seamless leggings are not completely seamless because there's seams to finish them.
I'm Joe. I've been in manufacturing for over a decade, and I've overseen the production of millions of products all over the world. And on this show, we take apart pieces from your favorite brands, see if the quality is there, and I'll let you know if it's worth your hard-earned money. This is Industry Secrets.
All right, we are back. This is Industry Secrets. What do you got for me this week? Gymshark. Okay, this is the Vital Seamless 2.0 leggings. 30% consumer waste, so semi-recycled plastic bag, tissue in here. So contrary to popular belief, seamless leggings are not completely seamless because there's seams to finish them. But in terms of how they're actually made in circular knitting machines. And each machine is gonna be dedicated to one size. And they're all computerized knitting machines. So all these design elements, you can actually program into the knitting machine itself, and it will tell the needle to basically either knit, miss, or tuck, and you're able to get all these design elements through that. And then in terms of branding, we have a rubberized heat transfer there. Hang tag is over here on the inside on the Gymshark logo. You'll see here. It's black on the inside. So these are probably going to do a great job in terms of not being sheer. You'll see actually right here, they haven't splitting hairs here. But you'll see if I match up the back to each other, the seam here or the design elements here start on the right side, start a little lower than the left side. I would say this is within normal, reasonable workmanship tolerances for a garment. Take a look inside. Oh, interesting. So they also repeat the brand mark on the cuff, the care label they've put in here. These are 93% nylon, 7% elastane, made in Jordan. So let me actually get you one of those seamless legging tubes so I can show you what I'm talking about in terms of how these are actually made. Perfect. This is a seamless legging before it has actually been prepped and turned into a legging. In the case of this one, this is marled, so they're definitely using a marled yarn to get this aesthetic, but the machine itself in its raw state will pump out this tube. So you'll see here in terms of the design elements, this is a sample we made for a client, but all of this knitting structure from the ribbing to these areas of contrast, these are all made in the machine itself. So seamless has very low work time in terms of contact with hands compared to traditional leggings, which is why the cost of them sometimes to manufacture can be quite low depending on the yarn. And that's gonna be a very important part of seamless leggings. The yarn quality itself can vary the cost of a seamless legging from like $2, $3 all the way up to 10 to 14, just depending on the yarn cost and the cost to finish the legging itself, because it needs to be garment dyed. This tube will come out. In this case, this is a ruche legging, which is why you'll have this over here on the glute, but you'll see these lines here. These lines here is essentially where the worker will cut and then flat lock the legging together. Let me actually cut this so you can see how this works. And this is the flat legging. And let me actually open up those waistband first so you can see it fully opened up. So you'll see the waistband here. They are narrowing it here, and then they are widening it again. The maximum width you're gonna have is gonna be the set diameter of that tube for the knitting. But you can have it so that you are able to go closer, but wider as well within that knit. And you'll see here, they've knit in this elastane thread. You'll see this is what we call a textured and crimped yarn. See how much stretch the yarn is. So even if I go right up, butt up to each other, by making this yarn textured and basically crimping it like this, you have a lot more space when you are stretching it out to lengthen those fibers. That is what they've knit into the body or the waistband to give it a lot more compression. Whereas if we go down here, You'll see this is the yarn for the fabric. There's not a huge amount of stretch in there. So a lot of the stretch that you're getting from the legging itself is going to be due to its knit structure and the mechanical stretch. So you'll see here, both the black and green are going to be the nylon yarns, and the white will be the elastane yarn in the waistband. But you'll see even here, the nylon yarn has a lot more filament than the black yarn and no stretch compared to the elastane. So these three yarns loaded up in the seamless knitting machine is what you're gonna be using to get this product out here. So after the leggings come out in this tube shape, they're actually going to be sent for garment dyeing. And then after they're done garment dyeing, this is when they will actually cut these open. So they're typically going to use a rotary cutter, but I'll just show you here. So you will get this cut out. You will cut out the back as well. So let me cut out the back as well. You have these two excess pieces, and this is probably what Gymshark's using for their gusset, and this is what will be used for the gusset in this legging as well. And the rest of it, a lot of time in the garment industry, if this is not scrapped, they can be sold as bulk material for either rags or for insulation a lot of the time. Or this can be sent back for recycling, but there's the middle. And then what you would do is you would get the legging, you would now flat lock the seam together, and that will form each leg of a seamless legging. In the same case here, let me open this up and you'll be able to see where that joint would happen. Just like that, you would bring this over and flat lock to create the legging. In this case, this very well might have used, because of the volume they're actually pumping out as well, they could very well be using dyed yarns just to save on machine time and cost, because they're probably pumping these out in such high volume that every step that they can take to reduce that is going to lower the cost. And you'll see here, same as the waistband. This is how it would come out of the tube. Then in their case here, they have this sewn here to help finish off the edge of the seamless. You'll see there's more elastane here. With the knit itself, you need to turn it back, because if a knit is exposed, just like any single jersey, it can and will start unraveling if it has not been turned back. This web here, yeah, this is a great way to see all the different components that are used to make this. In terms of leggings, I'm not gonna get the GSM of these just because it's going to be different than traditional fabric. Traditional fabric, you are knitting the fabric, you are dyeing the fabric, you are setting it in a stenter, and then you're gonna cut and sew that. In terms of seamless, again, it's all gonna be about the yarns and the quality of the yarns. I've quoted a few projects of seamless made in Jordan, and in terms of product cost, I've gotten quotes around $5 or $6 for seamless. So in terms of the fabric score itself, again, because the way it's made, it's not like a traditional fabric. Traditional fabric, you are knitting it, you are dyeing it, you're setting it in a stenter, and then you're cutting and sewing it. And because you're going through that process, you can actually have a lot more inherent properties in the fabric itself because you're setting it. When it comes to seamless, one thing you are going to find is once it has been fully stretched out, it doesn't always recover the same way as a traditional fabric, just because it's never set in a stenter to heat set the yarns. But I would say the hand feel of this is pretty decent. The elastane that I chose has fairly good compression. I want to give the fabric, otherwise known as the yarns here, a 7.5 out of 10. In terms of construction of the garment, again, there's not a lot of human touch points here when making a seamless legging. And because the seam really isn't that bang on, and we know we have some misalignment in terms of the design and patterning, I won't give this a 6.5 out of 10 for its construction. So for attention to detail, this can be a little bit more subjective when it comes to a seamless legging, because some people are gonna want a little bit more designs, a little bit less. But what they could have done is do a little bit more body mapping. So the great thing about seamless is that you can change the knit structures, and each knit structure is actually gonna perform differently. So they could have, in this legging, changed the knit structure so it provided a little more contouring towards the glutes or more compression in specific areas. But overall, it's fairly decent in terms of kind of everyday legging. So I'm gonna give attention to detail here a 7.5 out of 10. So in terms of value, these are 54 US, 74 Canadian. So when it comes to seamless, again, because most of it is machine time, and as long as the quality of the machine is fairly comparable to the Satooni machines, you're able to get a lot of, I would say, dupes or lower cost offerings for a little bit cheaper, just because the cost to produce something like this isn't that high. So in terms of value, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. So that brings the total of these seamless leggings to 28.5 out of 40. I think these are decent offerings for the price point. However, there's definitely seamless leggings that are gonna be a lot better in terms of hand feel, its design and compression. And there's also gonna be seamless leggings that are gonna be cheaper that offer a fairly comparable product. But that is it for this episode of Industry Secrets. I hope you learned a lot in terms of how seamless leggings are made and constructed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time.
If you guys want to see more behind the scenes secrets on the fashion industry and learn more about how to create products and brands, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and check out these videos.